FLIXTER. Hello, world. It's Mr. FLIXTER, and I just love talking motion pictures. Tonight I have a very special episode. It's a crossover event between Mr. FLIXTER and Rachel's Reviews. So allow me to introduce Rachel.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is so fun.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this with me.
Yeah, I love talking animation anytime.
Would you like to introduce the topic for everyone?
Yeah, so we're talking about Pixar shorts. They are something you always look forward to so much, is the latest Pixar short.
Yeah, it's very exciting because some of them I haven't even seen before, and a lot of them I haven't seen for a long time. So it was fun to revisit them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's some really, really good ones.
Definitely. So let's start off with your number 5. What did you pick?
So my number 5, I picked Lava. I Lava You. Because I mean, I love Hawaii. I love the song. I think the song is so sweet. And I just think it's a charming short. I love the animation, but mostly the song. I love that song.
That song is so catchy. I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you mention that because that's actually my number 2. So I'll get to that one a little bit later.
Oh, yes. Good. We're on the same page. So what's your number 5?
My number 5, I picked Presto from 2006.
That's a good one.
It's the one about the magician that forgets to feed the rabbit, and then they kind of duke it out on the stage. And I really like it because it really reminds me of those older Looney Tunes cartoons, the kind of slapstick humor, even like Tom and Jerry cartoons, like that kind of slapstick humor. And you don't see that too much in like Pixar movies, especially, or even like DreamWorks or the other animation studios. Like they're more about the dialogue and the jokes and stuff like that. So it's nice to see them get back to the basics of those original cartoons from the 40s and the 50s, the way they used to be. And I love the animation because the animation itself kind of mimics that, you know what I mean? Like it looks a lot like those older ones, but it's still the 3-dimensional type.
I love the animation in that. And yeah, it definitely speaks to the old sort of slapstick kind of violence that you would get in comedy that you get in Looney Tunes and old school, and even old school Disney, like Humphrey the Bear and things like that. And I love the animation, love the punny.
That punny so cute, eh?
Yeah, so good. That's a very, very good one. My number 4 is Day and Night. This one is a joy to watch, I think, for any animation fan, because you have these 2D characters, one that's night and one that's day, kind of battling it out. And inside them, you have different scenarios taking place. And so 1 minute it'll be on the dark side, it'll be the beach is all dark, and on the other side there's people inside him that are diving and going into the water and stuff like that, and they just compete back and forth day and night. And I really love it. I think it's really clever, and I love the animation.
Yeah, that is a good one. I like how it plays with the color. Like you said, it goes back and forth between light and dark. It's really interesting the way that they do that. They approach it differently than some of the other shorts that they've done before. That's a good one.
Yeah.
For my number 4, I picked Piper from 2016. And that's the one about the little bird that's on the beach. She's trying to get.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I love the animation of this because it all looks so realistic. It's so detailed. Like they could have went the cartoony route, but it looks like they took the extra time just to do all the little grains of sand and like the feathers on the bird. You can even see like the birds have beady little eyes and they look like they're wet inside. Like it's amazing. It looks so realistic.
That one is really cute. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, you would think it's a live action at times. It's really, really realistic.
Especially the underwater scenes, because it is the part where she's standing on the beach and then the wave goes over her. She can see like everything below the water. Wow, it's incredible.
Yeah, that's a good one. My number 3 is an old school one. It's Red's Dream. It's an old one when they were first starting, and it's about this unicycle. His dream is to join the circus. And I really love all of the emotion they managed to get from this unicycle. I mean, you think a character that doesn't have eyes, doesn't have a traditional face, it doesn't have really much to work on, and yet they managed to get all this emotion out of this character, and a lot of it comes down to the music and the lighting and different things like that. But it's my favorite of the old school ones.
Yeah, you brought up some good points there. There's a lot of good things about this, and you can see like how it's a precursor for a lot of things to come later on, like Wall-E, and there's a lot of other ones where there's minimal dialogue, but they convey that emotion with these inanimate objects, and it's amazing how Pixar can do that. Like, before Pixar, that wasn't really a thing either. So it's cool how they approach things differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they really think outside the box when it comes to their ideas.
They were so brilliant in their first shorts, and then also, of course, with Toy Story, to focus on plastic or metal items that then they could use the CG animation at that point, rather than trying to do people or anything like that, because that's what it kind of looked plasticky. So it was brilliant. They have Tin Toy, they have the Knick-Knack, and of course Luxo. All of those are perfect for that level of animation because it was kind of looked like plastic.
Yeah, that's a good point. They did a good job of playing with texture in the beginning, because those early people in like Toy Story 1 compared to like Toy Story 4, huge difference. It's like night and day almost.
Yeah, it's true.
Even with the toys themselves, compared to Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 4, it's cool to see the evolution of the animation. In our lifetimes, we've seen Pixar grow and evolve and become this huge that it is.
A lot of people said that about Lightyear, that somehow that Andy at the stage of Toy Story somehow bought a toy that looked like like that, looked like now. So I get that. Are you excited for Lightyear?
I am excited for Lightyear because I'm not really sure what it's about. Like, it's so different. It's kind of like a spin-off, but it's also like a
weird.
So I'm just wondering, where does it take place? Or is this the movie that came out that Andy was excited for, that manufactured the toys? Do you know what I mean?
The whole thing is very strange. I don't really understand it. I think it's a little bit of a stretch. I kind of wish they were just making a new superhero movie or space movie. But I understand the IP gets more people in the seats. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are kind of confused about it. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to get real excited. But this last trailer was definitely a lot better. I guess we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like it has good animation, and it does look funny. That little cat is so cute. But I got a feeling like all the funniest parts are already in the previews. Sometimes Pixar does that.
Yeah, that's true. They tend to not have great trailers for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's
Pixar. So what was your number 3?
My number 3 is Bao from 2018.
Okay. Yeah. This was kind of a controversial one, I feel like.
It's very divisive. I agree. It was directed by Domi Shi, and she's the one who directed Turning Red more recently. And I saw your review for that, and I know how you feel about that film. I did like it. I thought it was great. But in this one, you can see that there's a lot of precursors to that film. And I think that little dumpling is so adorable. And I think it really has a very touching story. Like, it actually made me cry the first time I watched it. And I don't usually do that for the Pixar shorts. It's just a nice little surprise that happened.
Yeah.
It came along. And when it's really cute too, because it has that same anime style that Turning Red has.
Yeah. When she eats the dumpling, it is kind of like, what is happening? But I was willing to go with it. To me, it was more effective than the metaphor in Turning Red. But it's definitely, I liked it. It's not on my top 5, but I appreciate that it is really cute. That dumpling is adorable. For sure. My number 2 is Jerry's Game. It's
okay.
Pretty classic. got the old man playing chess with himself, and it just keeps building and building and building. And I obviously this was a huge breakthrough for them with human characters, with every wrinkle, with every, the hair, everything will look so good. But I don't know, I just like the concept. I think it's really funny. And I think maybe because I am single and so I end up playing chess alone and stuff like that. So I connect with Jerry, I suppose. I think it's really good. So yeah, that's my second favorite.
That's interesting. That was actually my number one. And you already mentioned my number two, so I'll get into that too.
I mean, when you think about it, this came out in 1997. That was very early in CG animation. So to have a character like Jerry was pretty impressive.
And it goes back to that plastic thing that you're talking about too, with the little chess pieces, and you have that little board, and then you have like the different texture of the table. I think it was a stone table, or it could have been wood, but either way, there's 3 different textures there. Then you have human skin. Like, it's really incredible. Like, yeah, I agree. And even those, it holds up to this day. It doesn't look like it was made back then. It looks like it was made a little more recently. You know what I mean? Like it really still, it looks good.
Yeah, and it's one of the few Pixar shorts to actually win Best Animated Short at the Oscars. Not that many have. People think they have, but they really haven't. Actually, very few have won.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I agree with that. And I miss those days when you go to the theater and then you're not expecting it, and all of a sudden, right before your Pixar movie, there's that little short that just kind of pops up. You're like, oh, what is this?
I know. I love that too. I'm with you.
That was the best feeling, and I missed that.
Yeah, there's I think Piper won, and For the Birds won, and Jerry's Game. I think that's the only ones they've won. And I think that Luxo, I think, won, or one of the early ones won.
I think Luxo did one. That's why he's their little icon now, that lamp.
Yeah, or Tin Toy. Tin Toy won.
Yeah,
I'm just looking.
Those all deserve honorable mentions, in my opinion.
Okay, so
like Tin Toy and For the Birds, like those are good ones.
Yeah, so Luxo Jr. didn't win actually that year. One called A Great Tragedy won that year, but Tin Toy did win. That was the early one that won. But that's it. That's the only ones that have won, which is kind of amazing.
So just Tin Toy and Piper? Just 2?
Piper, Tin Toy, Jerry's Game, and For the Birds.
For the Birds, 4. Sorry.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, Disney has won a couple times. I mean, they won a bunch at the beginning, but recently they won for Feast, and they won for Paperman. I guess Bao won as well for Pixar. Bao won. So 5. But they've won 5 times.
I feel like more recently they've been kind of going downhill, like as far as quality and even the animation, like except for like Burrow and a few of them, but that one stands out too because that one's actually hand drawn. And you don't see that anymore. And it's a shame that they don't do hand-drawn animation.
Well, it's weird because they have a whole bunch in the Spark shorts that they've been doing, the ones like Out and, those kinds of shorts, which are really good. I really like the yarn one.
Yeah.
That one's really good.
That was cute.
But for some reason, they never nominate, though. They never submit them for nomination, those Spark shorts. I don't know why.
It's strange. I don't know.
So, yeah, who knows? But yeah, what did you have for 2?
My number 2 was Lava.
Oh, yay. So what do you like about Lava?
That one so much. Yeah, you touched on it a little bit, so I don't want to sound like repetitious or anything like what can I say that you haven't said already? I mean, the animation, the music, even the story itself, it's so like, there's so much emotion in like that 10-12 minute time span. It's amazing how they could do that. Kind of like the beginning of Up, that 15-minute sequence that shows their whole life. Like, it's incredible how much they can show and not tell, you know what I mean, when it comes to storytelling. So that's why I really love that one. It's amazing. And then my number 1 was Jerry's Game. I just think that one is just such a classic one. That's one of those first ones where you're like, hey, what is this? Because I think that premiered before Toy Story, if my memory serves me correctly.
It came out after the first Toy Story, but before the second one.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It was just one of those nice little surprises because that's before Pixar Shorts was even a thing. It was just this little cartoon that was just so random and it was just so funny and it just stuck with me through all these years. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to see it again because they didn't like release them like on DVD till later on. And then finally they came out with Disney Plus and they're all there and it's amazing.
Yeah.
There was more than I
Yeah.
thought. Like when I was going through the list, I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
more.
Yeah.
But it was
And
fun
it's
to
kind of
revisit.
fun with Jerry's game because you get to see Jerry in Toy Story 2. He's the he comes and fixes Woody.
Yeah, I love how Pixar does that. They try to
Yeah,
incorporate
it was fun.
those little details like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just like you see Lotso sometimes.
Well, my number one, my favorite Pixar short is La Luna. I
Oh,
love this short, and
it's a good one.
it's a little boy who's his grandfather and father are teaching him how to clean the moon from clean the stars from the moon, and that's their job. And I don't know, I just love it. I love the animation. I love how bright and it feels like they're on the moon. And I love the music. I love the character designs are so sweet. It's my favorite.
It's so imaginative
Hmm.
when it comes to just the basic concept. You think they're going out on this boat to go fishing or something like that, just an ordinary day, like at work, and then all of a sudden it just completely flips on you. I understand why this one's your favorite.
It kind of
Definitely.
reminds me of a poem that we would have read to us growing up called Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod. And they would catch the stars in their nets and I I think that's very nostalgic and beautiful.
That's awesome. I love that.
Hmm. Hmm. So yeah, that one's my favorite.
And yeah, I totally understand. And as far as the animation goes, it almost looks like a claymation, eh? Just the way that the characters move around and the way that they look. It reminds me of like James and the Giant Peach, or like even Nightmare Before Christmas. You know, some of those older claymations.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does have a stop motion kind of look to it. Yeah, and even when the director, when he did he did Luca, I think his characters still had a little bit of a Aardman feel to them.
Oh yeah, totally. I completely
Hmm.
agree with that.
Yeah. So I was glad that he finally got a chance to direct a feature after because I loved La Luna so much, and I really enjoyed Luca.
It's nice that he carried on that similar art style.
Hmm.
It's nice when directors stick to their vision instead of trying to just uh, do what the company wants. He was seems like he's like, I have this vision and this is what I want to do, and he has like this clear plan. And I appreciate things like that because sometimes they just
Yeah.
get whatever director and they just pick a script, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't always flow, and that's why some pictures go through development hell and they don't get made as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And they get changed and reworked to death, and you can feel it. But I think Luca, I feel like because I actually went to Animation as Film and watched the movie, and he was there, and Enrico, I think is his name. I forget his last name, but anyway, he was there, and it seemed like it was his vision. He really got to make the movie he wanted to make, which makes me happy.
It's Enrico
So
Casarosa. I have it here in my notes.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. Do you have any other honorable mentions
Some other honorable mentions are I
for
enjoyed
me?
Lifted. That's the alien one
Yeah.
where they're trying to get the guy out of the house and
Hmm.
the little one can't quite get it right. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I had that on my list. I also have Partly Cloudy on my list. Again, that sort of feels like that Warner Brothers feel to it. And also definitely a lot of
Yeah.
Dumbo in it, but all the dangerous animals. And that's funny. I also really like I also really like Presto, which you had on your list, and I really like Tin Toy.
Yeah, I really like Knick Knack. You mentioned that one on your
Yeah, that
list.
one's good.
And
Mhm.
one that none of us mentioned that I have here in my notes was Sanjay's Super Team. That one really
Oh
stands out.
yeah.
It's very unique. They don't usually do superhero stories for like those little shorts. I know there's The Incredibles, but even for those, there was two of them, and it took like
Mm,
15 years for the sequel to come out or something like that.
right.
So just
Yeah.
the way they do those action scenes, even Nona, the one about the grandma trying to watch the wrestling, I thought that has some good animation too when it comes to like those wrestling scenes. It was pretty clever because
Yeah.
it goes inside the character's head, and then when you're in your imagination, anything's possible. I think that's why Inside Out's one of my favorite movies.
Me too. I love Inside Out so
It's
much.
so good. It's
It
just
might be
so.
my favorite Pixar movie.
I agree. Yeah, me too. Same here.
I love Up, and I know Up a lot of people don't love, but I love it. And so I'm always kind of battling between the two, which one I like the most. But probably Inside Out now. I love it so much. It's
Yeah,
so creative and inventive and thought provoking. And I don't know, I just feel like it did everything that Turning Red tried to do. But to me, the metaphors all made way more sense and they were like better executed. I don't know. I just think with more likable characters, I just think it was better.
that's a fair assessment. I
So
can see that.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's not really, I can't think of a single Pixar short that I dislike. I probably, my least favorite is probably the Blue Umbrella. It's
Yeah,
fine.
that
It's cute
one.
enough, but I don't know. I feel like I can get into robots. I can get into a lot of things. Umbrellas in love. I don't know.
Like, it's funny too because they can do the unicycle so well, and they can do
Yeah,
so
that's
much with
true.
that. But you think they can do it with any kind of object, but for some reason that one just kind of fell flat. I also didn't like that 22 versus Earth. I have a note here about, oh,
Oh
not good vibes,
yeah.
but it
Forgot
just
about
seems
that one.
like, yeah, that's what I mean. It's not very memorable. It's not very funny. It's just kind of forgettable, like one of those throwaway ones. Like it's cute, but
Mhm.
doesn't stand out like some of the ones. It's not groundbreaking by any means because it's just a replica of Soul. And even Soul, I didn't think that was that great of a movie. It felt
No.
like a rehash of it, Inside Out. Like I
I
thought
had
they
a
could
lot
have done
it
the afterlife
yeah,
better, but
it had a lot of interesting stuff, Soul, and I still recommended it. But I think pretty much any time after he becomes a cat, that just did not work for me.
it was
That
so
was
random.
just, yeah, it was a mess. And I don't know. The more I thought about it, the less I liked it. I mean, I think I preferred Onward over Soul when it came down to it that year.
Well, I know you love your unpopular opinions. Do you want to wrap things up with some other unpopular opinions? I have my own very strong controversial opinions too. Like, I don't know if you've seen my Batman video, but I hated the
Ah,
new Batman. Like, oh,
oh,
no,
I
it was
didn't like
so
the new Batman
disappointing.
either.
No, oh, same
I'm with
page. I love
you.
it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I did give a positive review to Soul. I really felt like Wolfwalker should have won. It was the better movie. It was the better script. It was the better story. It was the better animation. But so that kind of made me sour. But yeah, the new Batman. You should have told me that. We could have done a whole podcast on that.
Maybe the next episode we can talk about that.
Sounds good. Yeah, I figure if I always say to people, if be very wary of anybody who is always agreeing with like the popular consensus and never has an unpopular opinion, and be very wary of people who are always a contrarian all the time. Both of those are no good.
That's so true. I agree with that so much because you can't be one way all the time. That's so
Yeah.
close-minded. Like it doesn't matter what side you lean on. You have to have that flexibility,
When
and
it's
it's good to
not
have it.
interesting to listen to somebody that's just parroting back what everybody else wants to hear. Like now I'm interested to check out your Batman video because I know that it's now you've intrigued me. Because you want to hear an individual opinion, an original opinion. You don't want to hear just what everybody else is saying. So, I mean, sometimes I agree with the consensus and sometimes I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Sometimes, like I'm very wary when I hear a lot of positive reviews for movies, like when people rave about stuff. But you're like, okay,
Mhm.
but not everyone can love this movie. Like, no movie is
Yeah.
that good that everybody loves it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no such thing as the perfect movie because no matter who looks at it, someone's gonna find something and be like, oh, you can change this, or you could take this out, or it depends on who's looking at it. Like, it's very objective,
Yeah.
like
There
that.
are a
So.
few Pixar movies that have 100%. Uh, the first two Toy Stories, and then I think that Toy Story 3 and Up have like 99%. So,
But even though, you know
but,
what I mean? Like, as a critic, you can watch any movie and you can pick it apart. But it's not fun to watch people just dump on movies all the time or just watch
yeah,
people praise movies all the time
right.
because people aren't like that. Like, people go back and forth. People could love a movie one day and then a few years down the road, they rewatch it and they're like, oh, why did I like this movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, things
So,
change. People change over time. And I think you have a good point when you say that.
yeah, it's all about the discussion, the conversation. That's what makes it fun. So, yeah, it was fun to revisit these animated shorts. There's some really good ones.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to make this episode with me.
Yeah, absolutely. This was so much fun. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. Where can people find you on like social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. I would really appreciate it. And also, I'm at the Hallmarkies podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you can find me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Medium. I think that's everything. Oh, and YouTube, obviously. But I'll leave links for everything. And I'll leave her links too. So without
Great.
further ado, thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
In case you haven't heard, I'm a film critic on HorrorBuzz.com, and I make frequent appearances on HorrorBuzz Live, their YouTube channel. So I'll make sure to put links below for that. Until next time, I'm Mr. FLIXTER, and I just love motion pictures. Mr. FLIXTER.